But right now we're joined in the studio by Craig Sexton, who is the FAI's Coach Education Coordinator. How are you?
Thanks for having me.
You had a busy week. So the FAI Pro licence has been taking place over the past few days, 19 involved. We had Andy Reid on the show last night talking about some of the intricacies and some of the things that they're learning. How did it all go?
Yeah, it was great. It was a really good week, a good start to the course. It's a long process for them, so for us to kind of get them in and get them settled and open their eyes to kind of what's going to happen for the next 8 months. The long process that they have is good, to get them chatting with each other, debating, discussing. It is good. It was a great start, to be totally honest with you, with some top class guest speakers in. We had Dwight Lodewages, Kees van der Warren from the Dutch national team there, two assistant coaches, and we'd Mick McCarthy, Terry Connor, so we'd a good start in terms of guest speakers, profile guest speakers, which was good.
Where does the template for the pro licence come from? Is it a UEFA initiative that you then implement?
Yeah, so all of our UEFA courses would be based around course competencies from UEFA, and that's what we work off. So there'll be a list of 7 competencies that we need to tick all the boxes right throughout, in terms of our guest speakers need to be aligned with the competencies, our coach and practice, all the different elements, everything is geared towards the competencies. So that would basically make up our syllabus or our curriculum, off the back of everything is aligned with the competencies. So yeah.
By the sounds of what Andy was saying last night, what I've heard from some other people who've finished the course is, even though it's called a coaching course, by the time you get to pro license, it almost sounds like it's more a management course. Yeah. That it's not so much just the basic sessions. At this stage, you've gone through the ringer and you understand how to put on a session. This is actual real life, dealing with finances, dealing with everything that you would have to deal with if you went into a big club as a manager.
Absolutely. Like we so a part of our role will be to go away and research best practice around UEFA, Europe, all different nations, and come back with what's happening on the ground currently, and that would be in terms of dealing with external factors, dealing with boards, dealing with players, dealing with on-pitch activities, dealing with games. So we try and expose the lads to all of this, these problems that they may face right throughout, as opposed to directly pitch stuff on A and B licence.
So there's obviously a big Dutch influence in Irish football at the moment with Ruud Doctor, and you just spoke about some of the backroom team being over this week. Like, where is best practice right now? Where are the places you're looking, thinking, actually they seem to be ahead of the curve?
It's all over, and we're quite lucky with Ruud, to be totally honest with you. So Ruud sits on the Jordan panel, which is a group of coach educators in UEFA, and they kind of dictate what kind of happens within European football as such, and they're kind of the brainstorming all the time. And Ruud, we kind of have the jump on a lot of nations because Ruud is on the Jordan panel, so we kind of know what's happening in terms of best practice. We research everywhere, to be totally honest with you. From Wales, from close to us, we were in Hungary last year, the guys were in France. We kind of get around everywhere to kind of take bits and pieces from everywhere, and see what's good and what's suited to here. So it's best practice might be fantastic for somewhere else, but we need to make it relative to kind of our country and what suits for our demands, really.
So they've had a pretty intensive week by all accounts. 4 days together, living together, 24 hours a day, living, breathing this thing. Where do they go for the next 18 months?
So the process for them guys is they have 10 contact blocks over the 8 months. So 10 4 days, 10 3 days, depending on the contact block. Some of them may be out of country. We bring them to a club somewhere, they meet managers or whatever it may be.
And do you facilitate that? Andy spoke last night, he'd love to go to Athletic Bilbao, and that maybe the wheels are in motion already.
Yeah, we'd look at different clubs in terms of, and the previous pro licence we would have spent time in Cardiff in Cardiff. We went to the Ireland-Wales game, but we also went to Swansea while we were there, so we met Paul Clement, and we also took in Bristol Rovers while we were there with Darryl Clark. We would have went to Pek Zwolle in Holland, another group went to Belgium. So we try and get around in terms of what we facilitate. That's all on us. It's a part of their course. It's a contact block, and we bring them in and we expose them to kind of what's going on within that club, and hopefully can open their eyes to real football as well, to help them.
And how is it monitored, how they're getting on in each of these contact blocks? Do they have to write a report? Is there a diary or a journal kept? Or do you get feedback from the clubs that say, like, would Bilbao give you guys some sort of a feedback on how Andy had got on, or what he had seen, or what he'd heard?
So we would be with them on them contact blocks, so we'd be facilitating that as well. But in terms of us evaluating right throughout, the guys would have they'd have a mentor group, so they'd be in small groups within the course. They'd be assigned a tutor from the start, so a tutor would look after them for the whole course, regular one-to-one meetings. They'd do their self-evaluations, they'd have the assignments. Unfortunately, Niall O'Regan was the man to deliver the assignments on last night. He had to show them what they've got to do for the full 8 months, so he gives them the annual plan saying, there you go away with that. A bit of a grim reaper job, but he was the unfortunate.
And are they taken aback as this sort of news is delivered to them? Do they have an expectation that this is the sort of paperwork that's going to be required to be completed in the months to come?
Yes, some would and some wouldn't. it's just the nature of the beast that it's got to be done. It's a body of work that they can take away, and it's useful for them. It's not a tick the box exercise where it's I've done this for the course. It's a body of work that they can reference whilst they're in a role again. That it's actually dealing with a critical incident, maybe an assignment, so they can actually reflect back on that at some point in their career and say, actually, do you know what, I've got a body of work here that I can use as a reference point for me to go forward. So it's for them. It ticks all the boxes with the competencies, but it's actually for them. It's a body of work that they can use.
You've got a very good mix among that 19 there, from players who've had hugely success. Some of our greatest ever players have been out there for the last few days, to players who've come through the League of Ireland and coaches who've come through the League of Ireland, some coaches from abroad as well. So they've all different backgrounds, a GA background in Jim McGuinness's case. It's not ticking boxes. Does everybody pass? When you look back on the 5-6 previous courses you've done, have there been people who actually it's just been too much for?
Yeah, look, we last pro license we started with 16 and we finished with 14.
Okay.
A couple didn't finish the course. Keith being one, he deferred his course due to his work commitments and things like that. It's not a tick the box, absolutely not. So you've got to kind of meet your competencies right throughout the end of the course. So you enter at a level through the application process, all that kind of stuff. You enter at a level of competency, and you've got to exit at a level of competency. And if you haven't met the competencies, the tutors will work with you. It's not a thing of it's a cut and dry. You fail the course, you're not getting through. We're there to help everybody, and that's at every level of our courses, from B licence, A licence. We're there to help people and to get them across the line as best we can. But they've got to reach a minimum level of competency.
I guess it's this strange one as well, in that Jim McGuinness is now in charge of Charlotte Independence over in America. He is a first team manager. He's got a year. Is his result of the pro license course dependent on how he gets on as manager of his club?
No, I don't think so. I think it's there as a tool to aid him. So all of the information, all the discussions, all the debates, the environment that's set within the course is there to help him in his role. That should be an evolving process. So as the pro license kind of evolves for him, I think his role should evolve as well, because it's kind of lined up together. Even his pre-season starts in February. We would have been speaking about periodisation on block 1, because it's everybody's pre-season and that's kind of your planning stage. So it kind of fits in quite well with his season planning. So I'd like to think that it's quite structured with him, and it might help him along the way. That
game between Spurs and Chelsea has gone to penalties, Dave. You keep an eye on that, and we'll keep you up to date as it develops at Stamford Bridge. So this comes down from UEFA. You implemented. How much room is there for individual thought in all this? Because it strikes me, even talking about Jim McGuinness, very different character to some of those other people there. How much is it left up to the individual to put their own stamp on what happens with the pro licence over the next year?
Absolutely, and that's where the competencies come into play, and that's where they're so crucial, because it's a general, one of our competencies may be dealing with external factors. Us three sitting here may have different opinions on, or different experiences within dealing with external factors. So now our individuality can come out with a new way in terms of how our tutors would react, and the kind of the environments that we set. We try and keep it very much so that it's about the learner. Everybody learns differently. Everybody has different experiences. We need to guide them in that way. It's not about the tutor's way or FAI coach education's way. Your way is not always the right way. We just deliver best practice and guide people along the way and facilitate them to kind of get to the end goal, but with the people's different competencies in mind as well.
Yeah, there's 19 on this one. Is that every second year that the FAI do a pro license course?
Every 2 years, basically, we run a pro license. Yeah.
It's not a lot of coaches coming out at the very end. 19 coaches every 2 years. Why don't we take in more?
There's a criteria from UEFA. We can only take 20. There's a number set on it. In terms of our pool of coaching opportunities, we only run one every 2 years. And that's what UEFA have governed down to us, that we run it every 2 years.
Would there be the demand there to do it every year?
I think there definitely would be the demand. Is there a need for us to run it? Probably not.
Why?
Just down to the fact that the course takes 18 months is the first one, that we like to stretch our course over the 18-month block, and take our time through the course and make sure that we're meeting all the criteria for the guys.
It just feels that for, say, somebody who maybe applied for this and missed out, it's a hell of a long time. So they have to wait 2 years to get back on the course, and almost another 2 years to be finished the pro license. It's 4 years. There's not a huge amount of fully paid coaching positions in this country that if you narrowly miss out, it might be hard for you to stick with it.
Yeah, absolutely. But look, currently you only need it for the top 10 teams in the country. So in the Premier Division, it's only a requirement for the pro license. So for them guys to have the if you see yourself as an up-and-coming coach and you feel that that's something you want to do down the line, and you want to invest in yourself to go and better yourself to potentially work full-time within the game and professionally, that's something that you probably need to look at going forward and put yourself in that position, because there is a number of people on the current course who are possibly putting themselves in that position for future positions as opposed to right now, the kind of way.
So is it linked in with the number of professional clubs? Is that why UEFA are saying that 20 is the maximum?
Yeah.
So they're not building you to export coaches, it's just for whatever you need in your own country?
No, but you always have the wiggle room, and wiggle room is probably the wrong word, but we have a percentage of coaches that we can take at every licence level. So B licence, A licence, Pro licence, within the number of our participants, we can take 10% of people who haven't completed education previously with us. So if somebody's coming onto an A licence and they've done a B licence in England, for example, 10%, we can take a small margin of them from England, for example,
right,
that can come into our programme.
So what about people who might be listening in and who are involved in their local club and are starting out on the ladder? Like, how long could it take to get to this level?
It's really dependent on what people want out of the game, and that's something that we're quite open with and discussing with people. If you feel that you want to have a profession in the game, you really need to be serious about it and really need to push yourself. If you want to do it as a recreational side of it, that option is there for you as well. It's something that previously the pro licence was always the pinnacle, and you wanted to go to pro licence because in the linear fashion that our pathway used to be that the best coaches went to pro licence. We've looked to change that now, and we've for example, we've introduced an elite grassroots licence. So we see for coaches who may coach under 6s to under 16s every 8 years, they drop back down and whatever it may be, and they're experts in their field within this area, and for them they're never going to go and be a B licence, A licence, Pro licence, because they don't want to work full time in the game. So we've tried to open up an avenue for them where they're getting noticed as elite coaches within their field, because they shouldn't have to go to Pro licence to be noted as a good coach. So that's something that we've looked to do within that area as well, and grow it for the grassroots level as well, because it's not just all about pro licence. These people are crucial to what we do in the game as well, because the whole reason why we do a coach education programme is to make better players.
Yeah.
We make better coaches, we make better players, and that's what we all want. We all want better players for senior international team playing in the Aviva, and that's why we do our job.
53106 is the text number. You can leave a comment on any of our social channels. It is Chelsea 3, Spurs 2. Spurs the only one to have missed the penalty so far, Dave.
Blazed over by Eric Dyer, Chris Waddle style. He had 3 or 4 yards to spare over the crossbar. Ericsson, William, Lamella and Aspilicueta all scored their penalties. That made it 2-2. Dyer missed by a long way. Jorginho has just scored for Chelsea, so they're 3-2 up. Tottenham are taking their 4th at the moment, and Lucas Moura has had his penalty saved by Aritza Balaga. So Chelsea will go through to the League Cup final if they score their next penalty, their 4th.
All right, so Mauricio Pochettino looking a slightly worried man there at Stamford Bridge, understandably so, as that penalty was saved from Lucas Moura. Kepa with that save. So Chelsea on the cusp of setting up a Carabao Cup final against Manchester City. We'll just stick with this for a moment. We'll come back to this chat as Chelsea step up to take this penalty. In fact, they're taking a slow walk. My final question, and just on this grassroots level, it's David Luiz going to take this. That actually sounds very interesting, this sort of elite grassroots level coach, because as you say, for the vast majority of people, they just enjoy going out to their club, they enjoy being part of the community, and they want to feel like actually that it's quite big time, that they're taking it seriously, and they're learning themselves, and that they can watch Champions League and Premier League games and somehow relate it to what they're doing on the training ground. How do you get into that?
So it's a set criteria, so we kind of do it as an application process as well, because we want to add some weight to it, because it's not just for everybody to come in and to receive the licence as such. So it's 100 hours worth of coach education. So if you've gone and invested in yourself and want to make yourself better, that opens the door. 5 years coaching experience as well as another criteria. So it's an application process. It's not as strict as some of our B's and A licence may be, but we do have an application process, and then they come in and they do 2 weekend courses. So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They come back in a couple of months later, some assignments in between.
What are you teaching them?
So they kind of come away, effectively the role would be like a director of coaching at a schoolboy club.
Okay.
It's kind of where we'd kind of see the role. So they come away with syllabuses, they'd come away with linking in with programmes, how to grow your club, little things like that.
All right, good stuff. Craig, thanks a lot for coming in and filling us in. I'm sure we'll talk about this a lot more down the line. We'll be hearing from all the lads who were on the pro licence over the last few weeks. Plenty. We'll be getting a full review out of Keith Andrews. Now we can review him in every different way. It gets very complicated from here on in, I think.